Welcome to Nextline Reports. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea is on edge, its waters shimmering with tension as rival ships maneuver beneath the vast sky. Today, a Chinese Coast Guard vessel confronts a Philippine exploration ship, the two locked in a silent but unmistakable standoff. The BRP Explorer, a Philippine survey ship, slices through the West Philippine Sea. Its mission is clear and urgent: to map the seabed for untapped energy reserves, resources that could transform the nation's future and lift millions out of poverty. The crew is tense, every face etched with the knowledge of what's at stake. They know the risks are real, and the consequences could be dire. Suddenly, a Chinese Coast Guard cutter looms on the horizon, larger and more menacing than anything the crew has faced before. Its message is clear: leave these waters, which Beijing claims as its own, or face the consequences. But the Philippine captain stands his ground, citing international law and the nation's exclusive economic zone. He knows he carries not just the hopes of his crew, but the weight of his country's sovereignty. The Chinese vessel circles aggressively, churning the sea and nerves alike, its maneuvers designed to intimidate and unsettle. This is not open warfare, but a dangerous game of brinkmanship, where a single misstep could spark a wider conflict. Every move is a test of resolve, with the threat of escalation ever present. The crew watches their screens, hearts pounding, knowing that history could be written in these tense moments. Such standoffs have become almost routine, as China flexes its maritime power to intimidate Philippine vessels and assert its sweeping claims. But this time, the explorer's mission is more than a survey. It's a symbol of renewed national will and determination to stand up for what is rightfully theirs. The Philippines, under new leadership, is pushing back harder than ever, determined to secure its energy future and protect its people's interests. The world watches closely, aware that the South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade and a linchpin for regional stability. What happens here affects economies and security far beyond these waters. Allies like the United States, Japan, and Australia voice their support, sending ships and statements to signal that the Philippines is not alone in this struggle. Yet, for the crew aboard the Explorer, the sense of isolation is real. They feel the weight of facing a superpower alone, surrounded by the vast, unpredictable ocean. These sailors are more than just crew. They are guardians of their nation's hope, floating atop immense contested wealth that could change the course of their country's destiny. The standoff is more than a territorial dispute. It's the opening act in a high-stakes struggle for survival, prosperity, and the right to self-determination. The tension is palpable, the risks enormous, and the outcome uncertain. Every decision could tip the balance. For the Philippines, this fight is about more than territory. It's about the right to a future powered by its own resources, free from intimidation. The outcome here could shape not only the destiny of a nation, but also the balance of power in Asia for generations to come. Away from the sea, the Philippines faces a different and pressing crisis: energy insecurity, a challenge that touches every corner of the nation. With over 115 million people and a booming economy, the nation's hunger for electricity is insatiable. Every new business, every home, and every school adds to the growing demand for power. Yet despite this surging need, the country produces little of its own fuel, relying heavily on imported oil and coal to keep the lights on and the economy moving. This dependency leaves the country vulnerable to global price shocks and supply disruptions, making energy costs unpredictable and often unaffordable for many. High energy costs squeeze families and businesses alike, forcing tough choices. Meanwhile, millions in rural areas still lack reliable electricity, living in darkness when the sun goes down. The result is stunted development, persistent poverty, and a nation at the mercy of foreign suppliers, unable to fully control its own future. Every spike in global prices sends shockwaves through the economy, threatening blackouts, business closures, and hardship for ordinary people. The government knows this is unsustainable, and the pressure to find a solution grows with every passing year. The search for a stable, affordable, and domestic energy source has become a national obsession, driving innovation and investment in renewables and alternative fuels. Policymakers debate solutions from solar and wind to geothermal and hydro, but the urgency is clear. Import dependency is a dead end for the country's future. The Philippines needs a game changer to break free from energy poverty, a breakthrough that can power its cities and uplift its rural communities. The stakes are not just economic, they're about national security, independence, and the ability to chart its own destiny in a rapidly changing world. The country is running on fumes, desperate for a fuel source it can truly call its own, and the race to secure that future has never been more urgent. The answer may lie hidden beneath the shimmering surface of the West Philippine Sea, vast, untapped reserves of oil and natural gas waiting within the nation's exclusive economic zone. For decades, these waters have been a source of mystery and promise, holding secrets that could change the fate of a nation. Experts estimate there could be as much as 11 billion barrels of oil and a staggering 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Resources valued at over $1 trillion. This is not just a number, it's a fortune that could reshape the country's destiny. For a country with a $400 billion GDP, such a windfall would be nothing short of transformative, potentially catapulting the Philippines into a new era of prosperity and growth. This newfound wealth could fund modern infrastructure, improve education, and expand social programs, lifting millions out of poverty and giving hope to future generations. A thriving energy sector would not only create thousands of jobs, but also boost rural development, empower local communities, and help secure the nation's future for decades to come. This is about more than just powering homes. It's about igniting a new era for the Philippines where opportunity and progress reach every corner of the archipelago. The potential for true energy independence and lasting prosperity is why Manila is willing to risk confrontation and stand firm in the face of challenges. The stakes are simply too high to ignore, with the nation's future hanging in the balance. Oil and gas beneath the sea represent hope, a rare chance for the Philippines to leap forward and join the ranks of its more prosperous neighbors. But unlocking this immense wealth means overcoming daunting obstacles, territorial disputes, technical challenges, and the unpredictable forces of nature. The question remains, can the Philippines turn this extraordinary potential into a reality that benefits all its people? The answer will define not just the nation's future, but the dreams and aspirations of generations to come. The path to this energy windfall is blocked by one of the world's most contentious maritime disputes. The South China Sea, or West Philippine Sea, is claimed almost entirely by China, overlapping the Philippines' internationally recognized exclusive economic zone. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled in Manila's favor, invalidating China's sweeping claims. Beijing rejected the ruling, relying on military might to enforce its position. This leaves the Philippines with legal rights but little power to access its own resources. The dispute is a test of the international rules-based order and the principle of freedom of navigation. The US and allies conduct patrols, but China remains undeterred. For the Philippines, the standoff is a daily struggle between law and raw power. China doesn't just dispute claims, it actively blocks Philippine efforts to explore its own waters. Massive Chinese Coast Guard ships shadow and harass Philippine vessels, creating constant danger. China's maritime militia, ostensibly fishing boats, swarm strategic areas, making safe exploration nearly impossible. Economic pressure is also wielded, warning foreign companies against partnering with Manila. These tactics deter investment and keep the Philippines from developing its resources. It's a calculated strategy to establish de facto control over the sea. For Manila, this campaign is the biggest obstacle to energy independence. The shadow of Chinese power looms over every attempt to secure the nation's future. Facing relentless pressure and looming energy shortages, the Philippines is changing course. Manila has lifted its moratorium on oil and gas exploration in the West Philippine Sea, signaling a bold new approach. The government is aggressively courting foreign investment, offering better terms and security assurances. Strengthening alliances is key. Joint military exercises with the US, deeper ties with Japan and Australia, and a united front to deter Chinese aggression. This multi-pronged strategy combines legal, economic, and military tools. The goal: attract the capital and expertise needed to unlock offshore wealth. It's a high-stakes gamble, but inaction is no longer an option. The Philippines is determined to reclaim its energy future. The urgency is heightened by the decline of the Malampaya gas field, the backbone of Luzon's power supply for 2 decades. Malampaya's output is dwindling, and depletion is imminent. Losing it means more expensive fuel imports and higher electricity prices. The only viable replacement, Reed Bank, believed to hold even greater gas reserves. But developing Reed Bank takes years, and every day lost to Chinese interference brings the country closer to an energy crisis. The dispute is no longer abstract, it's about keeping the lights on. The government is racing against time to secure a new energy source before Malampaya runs dry. The stakes are existential, energy security or blackout. The countdown is on, and the nation's future hangs in the balance. The next move will determine if the Philippines can avoid a looming power crisis. The Philippines need only look to Malaysia and Indonesia for inspiration. Both nations have turned offshore oil and gas into engines of growth, building strong state energy companies and modern economies. Despite disputes with China, they've managed to develop resources through technical expertise and firm security postures. Malaysia's Petronas and Indonesia's Pertamina are models of success, funding infrastructure and national development. Their pragmatic, consistent policies have allowed them to tap offshore wealth without major confrontations. In contrast, the Philippines has struggled with instability and external intimidation. The lesson-strong institutions, clear policies, and technical know-how are key. The question is whether Manila can finally follow this roadmap to prosperity. The promise of offshore riches has sparked fierce debate in the Philippines. Pragmatists see oil and gas as the key to energy independence and economic growth. Environmentalists warn against locking the nation into a fossil fuel future, urging investment in renewables instead. The country is among the most climate vulnerable, facing typhoons and rising seas. The government must balance urgent energy needs with long-term climate commitments. The choice is about more than energy. It's about national identity and the future. The world is watching as the Philippines stands at a crossroads. The decisions made now will shape whether the nation unlocks its offshore wealth or remains trapped by dependency and division.